Since I recently got back from a multi-day metal music festival, I've been feeling inspired to build one of these in The Sims 4. I haven't seen anyone make a hardcore outdoor concert venue in this game, so I'm here to fill that void for all of my fellow metalheads. Plus, I've been to quite a few of these festivals now, and there's a lot of room for improvement. So, I'm making my ideal version for y'all today. Our venue for this rock fest is the 50x50 Desert Bloom Park in Oasis Springs. Initially, I wanted to put this festival in Strangerville because I figured all the possessed Sims tweaking around would be apt for a concert. Unfortunately, none of the lots were quite large enough, so I settled for Oasis Springs instead. Hosting this festival in the desert makes the most sense for a few reasons. One, these types of concerts are always in the middle of fucking nowhere in pretty desolate looking areas. Two, they seem to coincide with some sort of heat wave, so you are spending all day roasting under the sun. And three, having it in the desert means you are less likely to get rained out. This is important as I've been rained on for multiple concerts, and dealing with the stagnant humidity after it stops, plus muddy mosh pits, is to be avoided at all costs. I'm working on the main entrance here, which I based off of images I found of Hellfest in France. Unlike the pretty mediocre rock festivals we have here in the US, for Hellfest they go all out with creating a really immersive experience, like a creepy EDM festival or something. There's this whole dark, moody town set up with fun activities to do, shops, bars, etc. that you can explore between concerts. So many of these festivals in the US have basically nothing to do besides watch the concerts and buy overpriced concessions. So this type of a festival looks way better and more worth the painful ticket prices than the ones here. I did not have enough room on this lot to fully express this concept, but I did what I could to make a scaled down version for us in The Sims. On this lot, I built two stages. One main stage for the big name bands, and one smaller stage for the up-and-coming groups. I think having a minimum of 4 stages would be more true to life, but I wanted to have plenty of room for other activities for your Sims to do on this lot. Plus, there aren't bands in The Sims 4 anyway, so these stages really don't serve much of a function other than vibes, so 2 is plenty for our purposes here. Speaking of, how are we so far into this iteration of the game and still do not have bands? I would have thought they'd have come in Get Famous or in their own game pack by now, but I guess not. Our lack of instruments was really apparent while I was decorating these stages. We don't even have any drums, which is bizarre. It took them until Horse Ranch to finally make us a normal upright piano, so I guess I shouldn't be surprised, but still. We have both a music mixing station and multiple DJ booths from 2 different packs, yet 0 drums in 10 years. Come on. In the end, these stages did turn out really cool still. The Sims just solely have string instrument bands and DJs in their universe, I guess. Even though the instruments are lacking, I went all in on the set decorations. For this main stage, I found that apocalyptic looking end of day set from Get Famous and had to incorporate it somehow. I sized it down and put it in the corner. That beam does stick out of the wall, but this set was too good not to use, so I just put it in and figured out a way to disguise it later. While I was hunting around Debug, I found these billboards from Get Famous, which had swatches that looked a lot more like rock band artwork, so I swapped the ones that I had put at the entrance for those instead. I also found some big movie posters with variants that looked like they could pass as band posters, so I hung them up at the entrance as well. Back over at the main stage, I went with an end-of-the-world alien invasion theme for this stage. That crashed UFO sculpture is on a platform, but I wanted it to look flush with the stage floor, so I had to do a workaround. To do this, I built a basement under where I wanted the UFO, went down there and placed the UFO, then raised it up to just above the top of the wall. So now when you go back up to ground level, it looks like it's flush with the stage floor. I also put a light down there so that the UFO doesn't look too dark compared to the rest of the stuff on the stage. As far as instruments go, there's a microphone, a couple of guitars, and a busking station up here. Definitely not a full band, but it'll have to do. I really had a lot of fun doing the lighting on the stage and the rest of the lot too. Funky, colored lighting isn't something I do a whole bunch, so I like getting to do it here. For this stage, I hid some green and red lava lamps underneath a bunch of the items to set the mood. It's really cool how much lighting can really transform a space. I'll have to try to think of some more builds I can do with custom colored lighting because I really like doing it here. If you have some fun ideas, let me know. Next up, I painted the walls to kind of look like a rundown city at sunset and put in the flooring. Over by the UFO, I laid down dark sand flooring and used quarter tile so it looks sort of like the stone flooring has been broken down in that area. Gathering around some overgrown grasses was the final touch to really finish off this stage. I know most bands don't go this hard on set decor, but this is my ideal music festival, so they do here. Let's just say this is a very theatrical band, and this festival really encourages their bands to go all out. Lastly, at the front, I put in some grates, just because I kind of liked the look of them. They'd also probably be nice to have when cleaning things off. I also put up that fence for where the security guards stand to keep people off the stage and catch crowd surfers. Then I sized up some speakers and tidy looking stuff I found in Debug to act as all the huge audio stuff they have at the sides of the stages. For the smaller stage, I was inspired to create a set based on the Debug castle ruins from Get Together. I found the ones that sized down well to fit in the space and decorated the rest of the set around these, so more of a classic Gothic theming for this one. For the instruments, I put in an electric guitar, violin, microphone, DJ booth, and piano. I do swap out that piano for a pipe organ eventually because I thought it fit in better with the theme. So this band is more of a blend of both metal and classical music. I really like how different these stages and bands are from each other, yet both totally fit in at this music festival. What IRL bands can you see being at home playing on each of these stages? Off the top of my head, I'm thinking maybe someone like Apocalyptic for this stage and Starset for the other. I'm sure there are others though, so let me know who you're envisioning performing here. For added detail, I hung up some of those overgrown vines from vampires and spiderwebs from spooky stuff. Then on the floor, I laid down some of the mossy rugs from Snowy Escape and layered that round stone thing from Journey to Batu underneath the seance rug from Realm of Magic. I like the look of using that broken pillar as a platform for the singer, but in playtesting it interfered with using the mic, so I deleted it in the end. I did playtest both these stages so your Sims can in fact access everything, in case you do want to bring them here to practice their musical abilities in public. This set would not be complete without adding in some gargoyles, so I put a couple at the front of the stage and hung some tattered banners above them to act as signs for the band. I happened upon these glowing tree branch wall sculptures from Dine Out while scrolling through the decorations. I don't think I have ever used them before, but here they were a perfect detail to add in. They really helped give this setup a spooky forest vibe, which I really like. The area above the archway leading backstage seemed like it needed something to me. I cycled through quite a few things that I cut out, but finally settled on layering the glowing circular mirror from Get Famous underneath that round stone thing from University. I was going for some sort of ominous moon or sigil. It's giving me Sleep Token vibes, so maybe they'd be a band who'd play here too. The finishing touch was to add in a bunch of candles everywhere and customize the lighting to turn up these spooky, culty vibes on this stage. Like I said earlier, I am just getting back from a long trip where I actually went to a big metal festival. It was definitely not as cool looking as the one I'm building here, but it was a time. So my partner and I went up to Michigan for a few days to visit family and then down to Ohio for the Sonic Temple Festival. We live in North Carolina, so it was a very long, tiring trip. Definitely not the relaxing vacation I need right now, but it was a good time overall. All of that was over a week, and then we finally got back home and ended up needing to do a deep clean and reorganization of our house because we had one of my spouse's friends coming to stay with us for a bit. My partner and I are not neat nor organized people, plus we have 3 dogs, so our house is in a perpetual state of disarray even after we tidy up. We're somewhat accustomed to the chaos, but don't want to subject someone else to it, so we had to get our shit in order at least a little bit for their sake. I've also been working on setting up the computer my spouse and I built, which is an ordeal in and of itself. So if my audio sounds off, just know that I'm working on it. But yeah, if you've been wondering where the hell I've been for the past few weeks, that's what's been going on. I think things have settled down a little bit, at least temporarily, so hopefully I'll be able to catch my breath and get back on track with YouTube. Yeah, with work and life and making sure I carve out time to spend with my partner, I'm just not someone who can pump out videos every week. Every 2 to 3 weeks is about as much as I can handle, which YouTube doesn't like. So if you're enjoying the vibes here and don't want to miss any videos, definitely consider subscribing and turning on notifications. That way, even when the algorithm buries my videos, you should still be able to find them easily. If you're not into doing that, no problem. Just sending a like my way and commenting on the video really helps out too. Here I'm finishing up the sort of rec area of the festival. That abandoned bus bar from Werewolves was the focal point I wanted for this area, then I put in some other things around it for your Sims to do. There's a couple ping pong tables, an easel for a caricature artist, that oddity stall and boxing game thing from Strangerville, as well as some tables for playing sabacc or just relaxing at. Speaking from experience, the best things here are the tables and chairs. There's never anywhere good to sit at these festivals, so believe me, those are gold. In the opposite corner of the lot are the food and vendor areas. I used a bunch of the props from Get Famous to make an apocalyptic town for where the different selling booths will be. For the refreshment areas, I put in 3 food stalls. Well, I guess I put in 2 food stalls and that alien milk stall from Journey to the 2. I know, it'd probably be better if I'd replaced it with an actual food stand, but the look of it really fit in well with the aesthetics we're going for here, and I'm one to choose form over function, so you get weird milk, and I'm not sorry about it. I imagine you'd most likely be visiting this lot in the evening, so I hung up a bunch of string lights over the dining area to make it look more special. I also wanted to include that circular thing from the Batoon Market with all the hanging tapestries, but since the columns are locked to the grid and it didn't size down well, I just couldn't get it to fit right in this space. Even without it though, I still think this space looks pretty neat. Over in the town-like area, I put a few selling tables to be the different event vendors. The blue one is some sort of a gaming or tech company promoting a new game or system. The orange one against the wall is the merch stall where you can buy shirts and posters and stuff from the bands. The white plastic table with the canvas billboard thing is for local artists to sell their pieces. The pink and red one by the rundown library I made into a recreational substances stall. There's a juice keg and a bunch of edible plants that have mood effects on Sims. So I put some mushrooms, bizarre fruit, and plants and fruit on it. There's also a fully grown version of each of those planted around the lot too. So if your Sims want to go extra wild while they're here, they've got options. I also put in 2 rock climbing walls, because they seem like a really fun thing to do that your Sims probably don't get to do all that often. I'm thinking the vendor for this activity is probably some sort of a local gym or maybe an adventure tourism company. Next up, I'm working on the landscaping. Now, typically the types of venues that host these events don't have much for landscaping, but if I have outdoor space, I'm going to cram in as many plants as I can. Also, the few trees that these venues have in real life get totally swarmed by people trying to get some shade, so having lots of trees is imperative. I also added in benches underneath most of the trees, so people will have real seats to sit at while getting out of the sun. Which is a huge step up from what we're forced to do in real life, which is huddling in the dirt like animals by any sliver of shade we can find. Up front, I put in a news van and camera for media coverage of the event. There's also a couple of bikes parked out here and a ticketing stand on the other side by the line entrance. This whole lot is surrounded by a big fence, so to make it easier for Sims to access everything, I made sure to put in some extra gates near each of the vendor booths. Filled in the areas underneath the trees with some shrubs, grasses, and succulents. So it's more lush than the surrounding world, but I tried to pick plants that seemed like they could grow in Oasis Springs. Off camera, I finish up the landscaping, do the terrain paint, and add in the finishing details. So let's grab our tickets, jump into live mode, and visit the finalized festival. Here we are at the finished Metal Music Festival. I made it a nightclub because that seemed like the most appropriate for a concert venue. I brought the Sims for my teen hang block build because this is another fun spot for your teens to spend the day. I'll link the playlist with that video at the end if you're wanting more community lots for your game. Through the main entrance, here at the front of the line is the security and ticket check. I'm pretending those wormhole generators are the metal detectors. Coming into the festival, there's an info board on the side of the AV station for the smaller stage. Opposite it is the bubble blowing area, because you can't have a concert without a bunch of people smoking something or another. In the corner are the bathrooms and showers. I wanted to include a camping area too, but there wasn't room. I did keep the showers though, because they're always useful to have around. In the other front corner is the bar and rec area. I wish all festivals had plenty of seating and stuff to do like this one. Off camera, I put in the AV areas for each of the stages. This one has a functional DJ booth, so this is where a lot of Sims will be congregating. Behind each of the stages, I put a tiny backstage area and tour vehicle for them. The main stage gets the full camper, while the small stage gets a van. The food area looks pretty much the same, but something you didn't get to see is the different vendor tables. This is the gaming one. Across from it is the artist booth, then the merch stand is the next one over. There weren't any good stacks of clothes for this table, but I think it gets the point across still. Lastly is probably the most useful one of all, the recreational consumables table. So even though we're not in Strangerville like I wanted, we can still recreate the vibes here. Alright, that's the whole place. It was cool getting to build a lot that was inspired by my real life experiences and using that to make an improved version of what I like to see at these concerts in The Sims. If you've been to rock or metal festivals, let me know how you think I did. What did I get right? What did I miss that you'd put in your ideal version? Now that I'm done with this one, I'm kinda wanting to do an EDM version too. So if you're interested in seeing me revisit this music festival concept, let me know. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed rocking out here, give the video a thumbs up. And if you want to see more unique builds, subscribe. I'd love to have you here. Remember, be kind to yourself today, and I'll see you next time.